PostStroke. I'm your host and stroke survivor, Jerry Wall. And for those of you that are new here, I started doing this show to bring awareness to stroke, TBI, aphasia, mental health, and also to provide a platform for all survivors to share their journeys from all across the world, literally. And also bringing on experts in brain health um, so they can share their knowledge um, and so we can learn. Um, but anyway, so this morning's guest, you'll love her, Gwen, and well, it's so funny here. You can't see what's going on here, but there's a lot of people that are joining. Um, this morning, Gwen is going to share her amazing journey, and she's going to tell us what's going on in her life since she had her stroke more than about 11 years ago, but she'll explain that. Also, please subscribe if you haven't to my YouTube channel, Let's Talk Stroke. Good morning, salute, and we'll go ahead and just get started. So sit back, relax, and ask questions, make comments, and we'll go ahead and get going.
Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance.
All righty, good morning again, and let's go ahead and bring on Gwen here. Good morning, Gwen.
Hi, how are you?
Good. You know, it's kind of crazy. I was this is like a private link that I send you, and it's kind of crazy that in the bottom corner I can see there's a lot of people that are joining on there. Who knows why? But I keep removing them. I don't know. Hopefully, you can see the comments because I love looking at the comments. Good morning, you guys. Thanks for being here.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, tell us where you're from, and it'd be good to see where you're coming from. So, good morning, guys. So, Gwen, nice to see you, and maybe you could tell us who Gwen is, even before your stroke.
I can absolutely do that. And so, I did send a lot of people the link. So, just FYI.
Yeah.
So, I have been an athlete all my life.
Right.
And I played volleyball. I was a personal trainer. I did all kinds of athletic things. I just was an athlete.
Yeah.
And got married when I was 30 and was pregnant at 32, had my daughter before I was 33, and then had my stroke out of the blue.
Yeah, no idea what it's from or why.
No, not at all. It was kind of a random thing. And because I was so athletic, I knew what it was like to be dehydrated and to cramp. And when I had my stroke, I thought I was having the stomach flu. I still think I had the stomach flu, but who knows? But my quads and my hamstrings were cramping. And, I couldn't keep anything in my stomach. I had been just going everywhere. And all of a sudden, I couldn't stand because I was cramping so much. And I told my husband at the time, I need to go to the hospital because I was so incredibly dehydrated. And I had been through that before just with athletics.
Right.
So I knew what it was like. But I also knew that when I had done it before, I could get through it. But this time I knew that I was very sick. I knew my body very well.
Right.
And when I laid down, I passed out, and that's when I had my stroke. And when I woke up, I couldn't see, I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. And I told my husband at the time, tried to tell him anyhow,
Yeah.
I was sick and I need to go to the hospital. And he's like, oh, I'm sick too. Man cold. No offense, men. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
And he would not call the ambulance. So instead, he called my cousin. My cousin came and got me. I had the throw up bucket in the car. Yes, I threw up. And hi, Vicky. Vic, sorry.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to interrupt, but you call her Vicky, your sister?
I do call her Vicky. Nobody else does.
Okay, I will. Victoria, nice
Victoria.
to meet you. I just want to say, I know you jumped on the link. I saw where you probably saw that too, that she was there. So thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And
Yeah.
thanks to any of my friends who came on. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And to everybody else. And so we went to the hospital, and of course, nobody understood me, and I didn't know why.
Right.
It was crazy. I knew what I was saying, but apparently to everybody else, it was garbled. And I'm sure anybody who's had a stroke understands this.
Yeah.
I am trying to explain things, and then I'm trying to talk with my hands, and nobody's understanding me, and I'm getting irritated.
Frustrating.
Going, what in the world? How do you not understand what I'm talking about? And so I'm checking in. Well, they're testing me because they're thinking I'm high on something. I'm drugged out.
Right.
I'm not. And my cousin's trying to advocate for me and telling them, no, she's a normal mom. I've got a 9-month-old at home. You know, I'm like, oh. So they're asking me my weight, and I'm trying to talk to them, but nothing's working. Meanwhile, everything's coming out of all of my orifices.
Yes.
And they continue to do tox screens for 3 days. So stroke wasn't even a thought for them.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Doctors.
You know, what was really interesting is that I taught about heart health. I taught about strokes. I taught about all of this stuff to women specifically because women don't understand what it's like to have a heart attack or to understand what strokes are like. You know, they have a headache for so long in the base of their neck or base of their head for so many months. So fortunately, I was able to help save 7 people's lives just because I knew what to look for.
Right.
But I had a stroke. I had no symptoms. I had none of it. And I had perfect health. It was just random. I was just lucky, apparently. And it's like, what the heck? Isn't it crazy? You stopped using pronouns. What the heck?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm in the hospital and trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, nobody wanted to talk to me, and I'm trying to write things down because I can't talk. And I got to the point I didn't want to talk. Nobody could understand me. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't do shit, quite frankly. And I was laying there, and I knew I had a daughter at home. She's young. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there thinking in my head, am I going to die or am I going to actually live? You know, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to figure this out? Thanks, Mike. I worked really hard on that one, and I'll give you some more about that.
Yeah.
And so I decided, all right, I got a daughter. I got to live for her. I gotta fight. I got to figure this out.
Yeah. How old was she?
9 months. So she was young.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, you know, so from then on, I was like, all right, I got to do this for her. It's not about me.
Right.
It's not about me anymore. And so I worked and I worked and I worked. So every time PT or OT gave me something, not only did I want to do what they gave me, I played a game in my head. And it was like, okay, I'm going to treat this like I'm an athlete, because I was. Granted, I wasn't at this time. And I was like, all right, how am I going to beat myself? So, like, as most of you know who've had strokes, you have to put pegs in the holes.
Yeah.
I hated that game.
Oh, me too.
Freaking awful game, that stupid thing. Oh, pissed me off.
I know the feeling.
Beat
I
me
know
all
the
the
feeling.
time. Didn't do anything, but
Yeah.
it beat me. So at first, it just thwarted me. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. And I sound like, yeah, I got this. I didn't got this. I didn't have it at all.
Right.
So I can tell you that there were days that I broke down. There were days that I cried. I was angry. I was frustrated.
Mhm.
I was sad. I was depressed. There were some days that were better than others. There were some days that were just freaking awful.
Yeah.
And so I had to decide every day, all right, how am I going to achieve this? What goal am I going to get over? How am I going to get past this? So whether it was an OT or PT, or even if it was just getting out of bed, getting to the wheelchair, or getting to the walker, or heck, getting to the bathroom,
Yeah.
not falling.
Yeah.
It was a good day. So whatever it was, I made sure that I achieved that goal, and it had to be a realistic goal,
Yeah.
something that I could actually achieve. And then once I started achieving whatever that particular goal was, I made another goal, and then I would make another goal, and then I would make it harder. And yes, it became a game.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now what can I do? And so, I would start to play those games, and I would make it mental, and I would make it a little bit harder and more difficult mentally and physically. And pretty soon I was like, oh, I'm the Matrix here. I can do this stuff. And then I'd fall on my ass.
How long were you in the hospital?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, too long.
Yeah.
We're all in the hospital way too long. One day is too long.
Yeah, absolutely. But you were actually in the hospital for 3 days, and they didn't know what was going on, something like
Nope.
that. That's just, to me, that just is just wow.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucked. And I wasn't allowed to leave until I could do the steps,
Yeah.
holding 25 pounds, because my daughter at the time was 25 pounds.
Wow. Oh.
And so I had to be able to walk up and down steps.
Yeah.
Doing 25 pounds. And that was hard. And I had to be able to squat, essentially, so I could be able to pick her up.
Sure.
And woohoo, go Mike! Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, good job, Mike. And Mike's from South Wales, United Kingdom.
I love it.
Yeah, salute too. That's
You're right. Goals are so important, Junior. It's amazing.
yeah,
And
exactly.
yes, setting those goals definitely helped. And fortunately, as an athlete, I did learn how to do that. But they tell me 2 years ago, I don't believe it still. What do you mean, Christopher? You don't believe it?
Yeah.
That you had a stroke 2 years ago? Or that tell me more. So anyway, I eventually got out, went home, and my husband was like, for you to recover, you have to get back to all your motherly, wifely duties, which sucked. So that's what I
another
did.
subject there, huh?
Whole nother. That's why he's my ex.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a whole other issue there. That's another topic. You were in the hospital. That's how long you were in the hospital. Wow. It's a long time. It's a long time. And it's,
Yeah.
I came home and I couldn't shut my eyes without falling over. I had to go still to OT and to PT and to try to figure things out.
Sure.
And without him really supporting me, I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I
Strong
decided
woman. You're a strong woman to go through that and the stroke. 'Cause you need the
it's
support.
not about, thank you. It's not about being strong. It's about learning how to survive.
Yeah.
It's about deciding what you want.
Right.
So I'm not going to let anybody tell me that I can't.
Yeah.
I'm the only person who can tell me I can't.
Good for you.
And Christopher, can I still run? I am a triathlete. So yes, I can run.
It's amazing how things change.
I had to, she's like a damn cockroach. Yeah, you're damn right I am. Yeah, you can't kill me. I had to learn how to ride my bike again. I had to learn how to swim. I had to learn how to walk. So I decided that I was going to do all of it.
Yeah.
Do one of the hardest sports on the planet. And now I have a boatload of medals. And one of my goals is to qualify for Worlds in triathlon.
Yeah.
And I will achieve it. And, I don't care if I've had a stroke. The first time I ever did a triathlon, I had to decide I'm going to do it. And yes, I started with 5Ks and I walked it the whole time. But at the end, I cried because I did it, because I went from not walking to finishing.
Yeah.
First time I did a triathlon, I cried.
Yeah.
Because look at all I accomplished.
Absolutely. I'd cry too.
But I will tell you this, even though I've done an amazing amount of things,
Right.
I went from being an amazing athlete to being essentially a baby.
Yeah.
And then having to build back up. And I've gone through domestic violence. I mean, my husband beat the shit out of me and my children. I ran from that. I survived it. I'm thriving now. And I've gone through a stroke. And I am not going to let anybody tell me that I can't do anything.
Right.
Because you know what? F it.
Yeah.
I control my life. Nothing or nobody else controls my life. And I am the story. I write my own story.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I want to do something, damn it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And everybody else can too.
Yeah.
It's just, what do you want?
Absolutely. Do you have any other, do you have other, like, any, how do you say that, deficiencies or any
And yeah.
effects from the stroke?
So for 4 years after my stroke, I had an accent.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk right. I told people I was from Iceland. So when I actually went to the country, didn't sound Icelandic at all. But I was very concerned about the way I spoke.
Really?
And I was extremely nervous, especially because I spoke publicly. I'm in marketing. I'm a communicator. This is what I do for a living.
Sure.
So communications to me is a huge deal. So I was like, I'm going to rewrite the narrative. I'm going to tell people what I want. So I learned everything there was to know about Iceland. I tried to learn the language. It's hard as hell, quite frankly. But I told people I was from Iceland and nobody questioned it because I sounded funny. I sounded funny to a lot of people. And okay, nobody cared. And so when I made up gibberish and I would tell them what it meant, nobody questioned.
Absolutely.
I told people my dad was a goat farmer. I lived near Reykjavik. I skied the Alps. I I mean, I knew everything. So nobody questioned me because I sounded different.
Right, exactly.
So it didn't matter. What are you going to say about it? You don't know. You don't have this funny accent. Go ahead and question me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I made the best of everything.
Yeah.
I tried to because I had to, because I needed it. I don't care what anybody else said.
Right.
Did you ever know that, Vicky? Dad was a goat farmer. She probably never knew that. The stories I told were fantastic. I was one of the best skiers. Granted I skied, but nobody knew that.
Yeah. And I had no idea. How funny. Wow.
But one of my deficiencies, every now and again, especially when I drink, you'll hear me talk a little weird. I still have some problems a little bit with my left hand. But overall, I don't really have many deficiencies.
Good for you. Wow.
I worked my ass off for it.
Yeah. I mean, you're 11 years out.
I am 11 years out.
Just last month, the 24th?
February 24th.
Yeah. Wow. Good for you to really push it 100%. I mean, I guess you got to. I mean, what do you tell people that are first having a stroke or they're not? And what do you tell people? I mean,
so what do I tell people? First, a lot of people are defeated. It's mentally frustrating. It's very difficult, and people want to get back to their old lives.
Yeah,
our old life is never going to exist the way that they know it, and that is really hard to accept.
Yeah,
it took me about 6 years to accept that in some therapy. It's one of those things that you have to look at. What do you want out of your life? How are you going to feel successful in your life? And so I will tell people all the struggles that I went through.
Right.
That, yeah, I'm happy for the most part now. I've never been happier, partly because I'm divorced. But I found triathlon. Triathlon helped to save me because it gave me something that I wanted for myself. It gave me something to shoot for.
Right.
And I needed that struggle. I needed a different struggle. Having a stroke gives you a completely different perspective, something that most people will never understand. We are in a group that it's a gift, quite frankly. It is literally the best, worst thing that has ever happened to us. And if you can look at it that way, that's half of it. Yeah. So now what are you going to do? What are you going to do with it? How's my daughter? She's wonderful. I'm actually coaching her soccer team now.
Wow. And you're a Penn State grad.
I am.
Love it.
I am. And I'm working on a book. I'm talking about the stroke and how that all unfolded. And I'm talking about the domestic violence and how that all unfolded and how I've overcome both and just how life is now and how you can find success and happiness, but you really do have to work for it.
Yes.
It's just something that you have to want.
Right.
You have to work for it. It's not easy and it sucks. There are times I broke down, I cried. It's hard, but you have to want it.
Yeah.
And you have to decide how to go for it.
Right. Absolutely. And you did it.
And so can just about everybody else.
Absolutely.
If you want it.
Do you still have any emotional issue? A lot of people have PBA pseudo-Barbero effect where all of a sudden you just start crying or laughing for no reason. That's part of aphasia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It still hits me.
Yeah. So you still have the effects.
Yeah. No, my daughter's not here. She's in school.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
good
she's
thing.
in school, as is my son. I had a son afterwards. It was something I did not want to have a son.
Really?
Well, I didn't want to have a second child because I was scared to have another stroke. but I couldn't imagine life without him.
Yeah.
He's
Perfect.
wonderful.
Yeah.
But I had to have a C-section to be safe.
Yeah. Oh, okay, really? So maybe there's a, who knows? Maybe that, because you didn't have a C-section in the first, so maybe that was because we really don't know the cause of the stroke. You know,
Mm-mm.
I grasp at everything, thinking, well, what happened or why?
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost died giving birth, so
Hmm.
possible.
Wow.
You just never know.
Yeah.
You know, I plan on continuing my journey in marketing, and I'm going to continue to race. I'm going to continue to push my limits
Yeah.
and see what my body can do. Right now, I can't push too hard. My doctors are trying to figure out why I'm so terribly anemic and what's going
Wow.
on with my body. So I've had to cool it for the racing right now.
Right.
Thank you. I've worked really hard on my speech.
Absolutely.
Um,
Nice to see you, Serena, from Nova Scotia, Canada. Thank you for being here.
you're welcome.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is a, yeah. Sorry to keep interrupting. So,
No, no, not at all. It's just I like to try to talk to these people too.
I like that. I'm glad
It's
you're doing that.
I just think it's really important to understand and feel your body.
Yeah.
You know, it's because I personally have always done that as an athlete.
Right.
I've always understood and listened to my body. I know my body pretty well. I don't ask to go to the hospital unless I need it.
Right.
I mean, I've had emergency surgery, and I knew at that point I needed to have it. So I had part of my intestines removed, and I knew something was wrong. So I go to the hospital, and stuff happened.
There it is. Yeah.
But it's one of those things. Once you really start to hear your body, because your body pays attention and it's like, hey, something's up, you need to take care of me.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Absolutely.
So then you just pay attention and things all start to fall into place.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great attitude you have.
It's better than the alternative.
Yeah, very true. What was the saying that you said earlier? That we talked yesterday about it too. The best worst thing that had happened, or
Yeah, the stroke is the best worst thing that has ever happened to me.
yeah,
And I truly, honestly believe that down to my bones.
yeah,
Because I have looked at it, and at the time, I did not believe that. Not at all.
right.
Hated life. Was
Yeah,
miserable. But looking back, and it's only because I'm so far out now. Looking back, I can see how much I grew from it,
yeah,
how much I was able to understand myself because I was torn down. I was down to nothing. And I was able to pick myself up and really get rid of the things that didn't matter.
right.
And it allowed me to say, okay, I was close to death again.
Yeah,
What really matters? What matters to me? And how am I going to move forward with my life? How am I going to make the best of things? How am I going to make the most of things?
right,
Because I've been given another chance. So what am I going to do to better myself,
right,
better the people that I love? And what am I going to offer people? It's not just about me. A lot of it needs to be because I forgot about myself.
yeah,
So I need to focus on me. But by doing so, how am I going to help others?
right.
So it's got to be all around. And it has fulfilled my life tremendously. It's just going back and forth and how am I helping me? How am I helping you? what can I do to help you? You know,
Right.
I love to talk to people about domestic violence and about stroke because I've been through so much,
Yeah.
and I love to help other people find what they need to find because
Yeah.
so many people are searching and they don't know how necessarily to find their way. And they're
Right.
curious and they want to. And I think that's where athletics helped me a lot because athletics beat the shit out of me, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I'm glad for it.
Absolutely. There. Let's see here.
How far post stroke did I
Yeah.
start getting my life together? That's a very good question. So it didn't happen all at once. It was piece by piece. Um, so for example, I could not type at all. And I was really good at typing. So I started packing and then I went to the four fingers. And so like I would practice this every day because I wanted to make sure that I could work again, especially with what I do. Now, I didn't start public speaking again until really this year.
No.
I
Okay.
mean, I just wasn't comfortable.
Yeah. And you're 11 years out. Everybody who, if you missed, February 24th was her day of stroke.
Yeah. And that was at like 1 a.m, something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay.
Mhm.
Wow.
Sorry for the potty mouth. I'll cool it.
Let's say, oh no, that's just
Sorry.
Mike. It's just Mike. He can handle it. Here.
I really try, but when I get passionate, I just go. I'm sorry.
But a lot of people that when they have their stroke, I saw Mike's comment saying, his wife can't go take him anywhere because he's no filter anymore.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and I will tell you that I work out now. I
yeah,
work out a lot, but I work out at home. I don't go to a gym. So all the things I do at home. So for anybody who says, "Oh, I don't have the time and I don't have the money,"
yeah.
bull crap. There you go, Mike. I washed my mouth. Bull crap.
Uh,
Congratulations for making it 2 years out, John.
absolutely, John.
But Serena, just to get back to your question, it everything takes a little bit, and it's about building your confidence
Mm-hmm.
and moving forward. You take a little bit and you move a little bit further. You move a little bit further. And you have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I mean, you just have to keep pushing because if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you never move forward. So, it's always about forward progress. And it's okay if you fail forward, which is always something I always like to say. You can fail, but
Sure.
learn from it.
Yeah.
Do it again
Yeah.
and see what progress you made. It's okay if you fail again, but what did you learn? And then do it again. And then again, what did you learn? And then do it again. And that's how I coach. That's how I teach people. I don't care if you don't succeed, if you don't win, whatever. What did you learn? And then how are you going to move forward?
Yeah.
That's what it's about, moving forward and learning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
you don't have to be the best.
yeah,
Just learn.
absolutely. Good morning, Bo and Cheryl. Bo, Poland. Nice to see you. But yeah, I mean, you're really great example of just like you said, it's okay to ask for help too, right? I mean, because you did. I mean, you're talking about your domestic violence. You're talking about the stroke, which
Yeah, and I will say with the domestic violence, I had to learn how to ask for help
yeah,
because with that, I had to learn how I became very independent. I had to trust myself to do everything. So through therapy and everything,
yeah,
I had to learn how to ask for help because I couldn't trust anybody to do anything because everybody seemed to fail me. So it took me over a year to learn how to ask for help.
yeah,
My
Oh,
stroke, I mean, he even failed me during my stroke. He didn't want to take me to the hospital. He didn't want to help me after I came home. So I did everything on my own. I couldn't rely on him for help. I did it on my own. And that's not necessarily me being strong. That's me surviving.
yeah.
That's me understanding that, okay, this is what I want. This is how I'm going to be successful. But asking for help is imperative.
Yes. Yeah.
Do it.
And you did it, but you're right. It's, so many people out here don't, it's a, when I had mine, I was embarrassed that I had one, um, but it's good that you're doing that. So now, I mean, you admit it, and I love that.
Yeah. And I was definitely embarrassed as well.
Yeah,
And,
you were.
one thing I will say that I have learned, the difference between having a stroke and going through domestic violence. People are much more willing to accept a stroke over domestic violence.
Really? You found
Completely.
out?
I have found that out. People will shun you for domestic violence. People are willing to help you with a stroke
Yeah,
because domestic violence is something people feel that you do to yourself, even though it's not your fault.
right.
Somebody does it to you and it's not your fault. A stroke is something that happens. I don't want to say naturally, even though it can happen that you do it to yourself, not necessarily always, but it's a medical thing
Yeah,
and it's much more accepting in public society.
yeah,
It's
absolutely,
very
absolutely.
different.
Yeah, and Stephen, I agree with you there too. That's good. And Bo, yeah, Norway. But yeah, the help. I
It,
don't know. Did
it
you
is
feel that way?
embarrassing.
Did you feel
Mhm.
that way too?
I did. And
Yeah.
now I had a mother she's still alive. She has multiple sclerosis.
Mm,
And my sister and I grew up with it, having to help her.
sure.
And I mean, she always needed help. She was in a scooter since I was little. She was diagnosed with it when I was born. So we were kind of used to helping her. But for us, it was people thought that she was our grandmother as opposed to our mother
Mm,
because of her disability. And so I saw how people treated her.
right.
And then I also saw the depression that she had and how it set in, and then just how her personality changed. I was never going to let that happen to me. I was never going to feel I mean, don't get me wrong. I got depressed. I'm still on depression medication because let's face it, why not? Uh, and I have no shame in saying that I'm depressed. Don't
Yeah,
care.
I agree.
Um, and I didn't want to feel ashamed that people were going to help me because I knew that I needed it.
Yeah,
So if there was a time that I couldn't walk or if I fell, I was okay with somebody saying, "May I help you?"
right, right.
I love that quote. Fail early, fail often, but always fail forward. Yes.
That's good. Salute.
Fantastic freaking quote.
Wow, good one.
Um, but yeah, it it sucks.
Yeah,
And you have to suck up your pride.
yeah,
But you
yeah,
know what? For the women that have given birth,
yeah,
and you have a stroke, guess what? You have to suck up your pride while you give birth.
yeah,
It happens.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
guys, we deal with it. You can too.
That's right. Yeah,
Sorry.
no, that's good, and I agree. Love these comments. I'm sure we all had that. Couldn't tie
Yep.
our shoe. We couldn't. I mean, wow. We're back to showering ourselves. Wow. I know that. I mean, we all know that.
Yeah. It is so true. You become a baby
Yeah.
and just trying to learn how to do everything again. And it's frustrating as all heck.
Yeah.
And you're like, seriously? I knew how to do this. Why am I having to relearn it? Brain, what the heck?
Yeah, help me out.
You know?
Yeah.
And yes, the hospital has no room for pride. And you're like, seriously? Come on. I need some privacy when I poop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you're like, fine, I hope this is stinky for you.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. 'Cause no control over anything, right in the beginnings, as we know. But wow, what does not kill me makes me stronger.
So true. So
Right.
true. Mike, you're awesome.
Just thinking. You were. Oh, I'm okay too. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Bo. Yeah.
Okay,
That's.
did the nurse nick you at all?
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Those are the things that are important.
Exactly. Do you have any scars because of it?
I hope she did a good job.
Yeah. Exactly, Bo.
That's the stuff that always worried me because, we're on blood thinners. If you bleed a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow.
So, those are the things you got to think about.
Yeah.
And, because of that, they start doing it really careful. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was good.
Yeah. That's
We
true.
do grow through what we go through. And that's what makes us better human beings, that makes us stronger, that makes us capable to handle so much more.
Absolutely.
It's really, really freaking hard.
Yeah.
And we become just unbelievably strong individuals. We have seen the crap.
Yeah.
So guess what? We can deal with the crap and the hard crap. So guess what? We're awesome.
Yeah, that's
Dang
right.
it.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you've done what you've done and accomplished. I mean, we talked about I'm pointing at your medals.
Thanks.
Right there. And this is after your stroke, right?
Mm-hmm. Here, I'll oops, wrong way, sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, that's after my stroke.
Wow. You've obviously been doing
I've
some
been
things.
working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where any of my medals, anything is before my stroke. I have no idea.
Wow.
Yeah, this is all after.
Wow. Something to be proud of.
Thank you.
Especially after your stroke. I mean, I don't want to put a lot of light, but that's wow. I mean, I want one. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
I was hoping to do 20 races this year, but my body is not allowing me. So I'm sure that'll happen next year. Two of them were going to be half Ironmen.
Wow.
Which is significant.
Yeah, very. Actually, absolutely.
But, instead, I will be helping to host 5 national multi-day triathlons, which are just as daunting on the body.
Do you have any like for me, the cold weather gets me after my stroke. Do you have any hot or cold, any kind of issues?
So not really. I have asthma also. So the cold bothers my asthma a lot. And I get really dry mouth.
Right.
So anytime I'm outside, when I'm running, when I'm doing any of that stuff, I have to use my inhaler before, during, and after I run. Anytime my heart rate gets up, I really have to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I will say in warmer weather, when I'm working out, when I'm cycling, I always really have to pay attention to my body temperature because I don't want to have a heat stroke.
Yeah.
Because that'll happen before a lot of people will.
Yeah.
So there are times when I'm cycling on hills, like really steep hills. I always try to put ice down my clothes and wear hats that are watered down because I definitely get overheated much more quickly.
Yeah, like that. So you have obviously some residual effects from that.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that they were probably residual. I just deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
Good morning, Joy. Good morning. Thank you for being here, first of all, again. Yeah, I'm glad that you're really involved with these comments with the audience, because
It's fun.
yeah, they want to. I mean, we all want you guys to be involved and get something out of this. I mean, that's what this is all for. I mean, every story is unique, different, and certainly yours is really unique.
I'm just a regularly unique individual. Oh, crazy.
That's what I know. That's what I mean.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister will tell you that.
Oh yeah, Victoria. I can call her that. I can't call her Vicky, I guess.
Yeah, you can't call her Vicky. You can call her Vic or Victoria.
Oh, okay, I know some. Okay,
You
good.
and I might have some words
Yeah.
if you call her Victoria. A different adjective. We could tell the story about Santa. I almost called you Stell. We could tell the story about Santa, Vic.
Yeah, I want to hear those stories. I'm sure the stories that no one knows here. But wow.
Yeah, those stories are always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
I won't. I love you
That's
too
funny.
much, Vic.
Absolutely.
So it's not to say that you won't ever be able to run marathons.
Right.
I have done significant amount of runnings. I can't say that I've run a marathon, but I do a lot of running, and
Daily.
yeah, running is very cathartic, and it's something that you can definitely work towards. Work towards it.
Yeah.
Do it slowly. You can do it.
Yeah. A lot of people think they can't, or they're not. And I like this kit there, Catherine. I like she was swimming. Well, I just missed it. I was swimming going for the Olympics. So she can relate to your story.
Yeah, I get it. I work, some of my coaches work with Olympians and professionals, and I'm friends with professional athletes.
Right.
I work with a lot of elite national athletes. It's not to say that you'll go to the Olympics. I'm not going to lie. But you can still swim. I had to relearn how to swim. I was deathly afraid of the water. Now I'm a really good swimmer.
Yeah. Oh, right after your stroke, you're saying?
It was after my stroke. Not right after.
Yeah.
It was after.
Yeah.
But I was deathly afraid.
Yeah.
And, the first triathlon I was in, I had the worst panic attack. Attack. And I hated it.
Yeah.
It got better. I still freaked out for a few panic attacks, but now I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I swim in pools. I swim in open water, swim in lakes, swim in the ocean.
Wow.
And I'm talking, I swim. I don't just play around.
Yeah.
I'll swim.
Wow.
And
with true inspiration.
That's awesome that you worked at the Olympic Committee.
Good for you. That's awesome.
The Air Force Marathon.
Yeah. Are you a daily runner now?
No. When I'm training, I have to train for 3 disciplines. So I'm swimming, cycling, and running. So I go with what my coach says. So I'm not only am I doing those 3, I'm also throwing in yoga and strength training. So it's all of it. Yeah. All the time, all year long. And there are several days I'm doing 3 workouts in a day. Wow. And sometimes I'm doing like a cycling and a running back to back, which if anybody has ever tried that, when you bike first and then you cycle, when you cycle first and then you run next, your legs are like jelly.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and then you have transition in between for the actual event. But when you do a brick workout, it's one to the next immediately, so that your legs get used to the transition.
Right.
And oh my gosh, it's jelly. It's kind of like you had a stroke. Now, speaking of which, I have a question. So people ask me all the time, what's your stroke like? What was your stroke like?
Yeah.
So this is what I tell people, and I want to know what your experiences were. So I tell people that once I kind of came to and I was lucid,
Sure.
having a stroke and the aftermath was like being drunk forever
Yeah.
without a hangover.
That's a good analogy there. Yeah,
You know,
makes sense, because how many people say, "Oh, you don't look like you had a stroke," or "You're too young to have a stroke." I don't know if you've been told that. You know,
I can't tell you how often I get
yeah,
told that. You
exactly.
had a stroke and at 32?
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
yeah. There's no discrimination with a stroke.
Was it because of birth control?
Mm.
Well, I
And
just had a kid, so no.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Birth control does. I mean, I heard those stories.
Mm-hmm.
But
But does anybody else feel like their stroke could have, or not because of drinking, but did you ever feel like you were drunk all the time, but totally lucid?
Yeah, not at all. Just couldn't talk. I mean, couldn't talk, get the words out, or couldn't move, and But yeah, no drunk feeling.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's the way I explained it to people, because I always felt like, I can't talk, I can't see, I can't
Right.
walk right. I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm drunk, but I'm
Yeah.
totally lucid, and a
Yeah.
hangover is never coming.
Yeah.
I couldn't have a drink for a very, very long time because I was like, I have been drunk for way too long.
Yeah. Absolutely. No good talk or move.
No,
Yeah.
couldn't talk or move.
Yeah. Exactly.
Lori Copeland, I will check her out. Is that
Yeah.
on the highway? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He was an alcoholic, yeah. And I wasn't an alcoholic at all, but not sorry, Jerry. Like that's just how I explained it to people, because people always wanted to know. I'm like, that's just how it was for me for once I was lucid, and yeah, that's just how I felt when I finally got home, and like I couldn't do things.
Yeah.
And I was always like swaying, and like the eyesight wasn't right, and I was talking funny. And that's before I told people I was from Iceland, because I felt so weird about my voice.
Yeah.
But I was just curious, like if anybody else had that feeling.
Yeah. And I never thought of it, but that's so true, though. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Weird.
No eyesight issues now.
No, other than my contacts get stupid every now and again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
Yeah, the endorphins definitely help.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Wow. So what other like to end? I mean, we can go on forever, and your story is so inspirational and so inspiring. Absolutely. So, what have we missed?
What have we missed? Let's see. Stephen, first of all, no judgment. You do you.
Yeah.
You do you, boo.
Yeah.
Let's see. What have we missed? I'm sure there's tons of it. I talk on my website. I tell about my triathlon journey, which talks about my stroke, and then talks about my surgery. So I try to not go into ridiculous detail.
Right. What's the website? I know we put it in the promo. All that stuff's on there.
It's GwenMyslinski.com or Gwen'sWebCreations.com. It'll go to both. Myslinski is my married name. I didn't legally change it because of my kids.
So, but this is right here. I just changed is that the way it needs to be?
Hi, Greg. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Myslinski.
Yeah.
So
and I always tell people my slinky, because my ex hates that. And I think it's easier to remember my slinky.
Yeah.
It's easier to
My
say,
slinky.
and he hates it. So it's a bonus.
So, okay. So do I need to bring it back to right over here, Cochran? Or is that you?
Either or, I really don't care.
Okay, call you anything, right?
Call me anything.
You've been called worse.
I very much have.
Yeah.
And honestly, nothing offends me. So you can call me whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll probably respond.
This is good. Wow.
It's all good.
Wow. I'm so glad you were able to make this and share your story, because it's wow, from a Penn State stud, and now you're back to that caliber.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm back to that caliber yet.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever get back to that, but
Yeah.
that's okay. I mean, even though I couldn't go for it this year, maybe next year I will go for worlds in triathlon. My body will hopefully work with me, and then I'll do my half Ironmen. But I am still extremely involved in triathlon, even though I'm not competing right now. I'm still going to do my 5Ks, still going to run. I'm going to host triathlons, and I love it. And I'm still going to help people.
Absolutely. And in the domestic violence arena too. And that's a big part of your life. So that's
it is.
So you're speaking on that behalf as well.
I am. Yeah. And when I'm actually racing, I'm going to be raising money for stroke survivors as well as domestic violence survivors, because it's important. I want to raise awareness if I can raise money, because, I feel like I need to do something, and I feel like I can be loud enough and people will hear me. Whether they like what I say, I really don't care. I just need them to hear me.
Right. 100%. I agree. Wow. Wow. It's incredible. But I appreciate it. I think this has been really great, and I'm glad that the great little all the comments you guys were making and making. So thank you. I appreciate it. And I know Gwen does too. And
it's been fun.
Yeah, and I see some people have, especially Mike. He requests.
Love you, Mike.
Oh, there's
finding a will and a way. You know it. You found it.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Mike posted that. Thank you, Mike. I can't believe I'm saying thank you to Mike. But anyway, just kidding there. But yeah. So Stephen, University of PA, studying Carnegie, testing East End.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Wow, good to hear. Well, way to go, Stephen Albright. And exactly, Jessica. Awesome and inspiring story.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. And definitely have to do this again, and maybe motivational speaking here, because you obviously are motivated.
Well, thank you. I'm glad.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure, and you know how these streams go. This is on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the social media sites that I know of. Twitch. So I usually go back and answer questions, or if they're not, but you know how to find them. So
and if anybody has questions for me, feel free to ask.
There you go, guys. You hear that?
I'm around.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it, Gwen, and I'm sure we'll be chatting quite a bit. And thank you.
Instead of going to Gwen's web creations, I do more posting on G Cochran. I think it's G Cochran or G Myslinski. I don't remember my handle. I don't know.
Hey, Brad. Yeah. So
something like that.
Well, I'm glad, Mike. You're just doing some research, aren't you? Wow. Unbelievable.
I haven't posted that often recently.
Oh, really?
Especially when I'm training, like hardcore.
Yeah.
I'll post, but
wow. Brad, nice to see you. You have to go back and hashtag replay if you missed it. But
sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. You talk about being inspired. Brad, you will so enjoy it. So
I'm just loud. I swear I'm just loud.
I turned the volume down. No. And Victoria, thank you for being here, supporting your sister. Awesome.
Love you, Vic.
Yes, Vic. Oh, oops. I can't
No,
call
you're
her.
good. You're good. I called her Vic. You're good.
Okay, good. Thank you, Stephen. Great guest. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's Mike. Yeah, he's not a stalker, but he kind of is. But thank you, Vic, for
I don't
being
think
here.
you are a stalker.
You just
I
don't trust.
appreciate all the compliments, everybody.
Yeah,
I hope you
absolutely.
guys had as much fun as I did because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm glad. Me too. I love hearing these stories, and I love how yours is just. My mood this rest of the day is going to be pretty awesome. So.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
glad. It was a lot of fun.
Good. Well, take care, and I will be chatting with you again.
Sounds like a plan. Talk to everybody later.